Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this online service of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a loving, spirited, and ever more inclusive community. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, and whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. My name is Kinney, and I'm your assistant minister at QUUF. I'd like to begin this service by acknowledging that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chimicum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain their homelands. In a moment, we'll light the chalice, but first, let us settle our minds and calm our hearts with the ringing of our chime. Our prelude this morning is hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning, sung by the QUUF Quartet. It is now time for our chalice lighting ritual. Please join me and our worship assistant, Gary Forbes. We light this chalice with the fire of sun and the heat of earth. May its light allow us to see the goodness of all creation. May it give us a strength of commitment to this earth that we never dreamed possible. Today we approach the earth with reverence, play, and purpose. Our opening words are from a Bellingham neighbor, Victoria Lors. Once upon a time, all humans knew their lives, their food, their survival, their sense of meaning, and kinship with God or the gods was connected with their relations, the hawks and soil and ferns and mosquitoes. Like all the other wild creatures, they belonged to the land, and they knew it. They were untamed and self-willed and listened to their own intrinsic authority. They were part of a grand conversation, a relationship of reciprocity and respect, connecting them with all the other beings of and elements of life. The time has come to return to a more intimate relationship with the living world. More and more of us are taking our place once again as full participants in the web of life, which we remember is held together by the web of love.
Good morning, everyone. Professor Wangari Maathai founded the Green Belt movement to plant millions of trees across Kenya. And in our celebration of Earth Day and trees, Maathai is the perfect person to learn from. As Wangari Maathai tells it, when she was growing up on a farm on the hills of central Kenya, the earth was clothed in its dress of green. Fig trees, cotton trees, crotons, and flame trees covered the land, and fish filled the pure waters of its streams. The fig tree was sacred then, and Wangari knew not to disturb it, not even to carry its fallen branches home for firewood. She collected water from the streams and played with glistening frogs' eggs. Her heart was filled with the beauty of Kenya when she left to attend college in America, far, far from her home in Kenya. There, she studied biology, the science of living things. Wangari dreamed of making the world better, not only for herself, but for the world beyond herself. After being away for only 5 years, she returned to Kenya with a changed landscape. Wangari found the fig tree cut down, the little stream dried up, and no trace of frogs. Where once there had been mostly little farms growing what each family needed to live on, now almost all the farms were growing crops to sell, and the people could not afford to feed themselves well. So many trees had been cut down to clear the way for farms that women and children had to walk farther and farther in search of firewood to heat a pot or warm the house. Then there were fewer and fewer trees with each one that they cut down, and much of the land was as bare as a desert. Without trees, there were no roots to hold the soil in place, and without trees, there was no shade. The rich topsoil dried to dust and blew away. Rain washed the loose earth into the once clear streams and rivers, dirtying them with silt. The land, weak and suffering, could no longer take care of the people, and their lives became harder than ever. Wangari had a simple and big idea. Why not plant trees? She asked. She showed them how to collect tree seeds and taught them to prepare the soil. Most of all, she taught the women to tend the growing seedlings as if they were babies, watering them twice a day to make sure they were growing strong. It wasn't easy. Often the women had to dig a deep hole by hand and climb into it to haul heavy bucketfuls of water up over their heads. An early nursery failed, but Wangari was not one to give up. Many of the women could not read or write. They were mothers and farmers, and no one took them seriously. But they began to change their own lives and the landscape. Slowly, the woods grew again. Now, when a tree was cut down, 2 were planted in its place. Families were healthier, eating from the fruit trees they had planted and from the vegetable plots filled again with yams, cassava, pigeon peas, and sorghum that grew so well. In the 40 years now since Wangari began her movement, tree by tree, person by person, over 50 million trees have been planted in Kenya, and the planting has not stopped. When the soil is exposed, Wangari once said, it is crying out for help. It is naked and needs to be clothed in its dress. That is the nature of land. It needs color. It needs its cloth of green. As Wangari once said, it's not just about planting trees. It's about inspiring people to take care of their environment, the system that governs them, their lives, and their future. Happy Earth Day.
What we'd like to do now is acknowledge and welcome those of you who are visiting us this morning. You're invited to say hello in the comments section and tell us your name and where you're from. The chat section can be found below or on the right side of the video when it is out of full screen, and we'd love to hear from you. We also hope you'll join us for our virtual coffee hour in our Fellowship Hall Zoom room. If you don't have that link, it will be posted in the chat section at the end of the service. And if you find this service useful or inspirational, hopefully both, please share the link with your friends and family. So welcome, everyone. We're glad you're with us today. We will now receive the offering. Today, our collection will go to For Love of a Child Fund at Salish Elementary School. In our community, over 50% of the students live below poverty level. Your donation supplies children's basic needs, eyeglasses, clothing, shoes, hygiene and music supplies, field trips, unique needs so that students stay engaged in school. Volunteers are needed as well. If you'd like to donate money to help this important cause, you have 3 options for receiving your donations. Please either text the amount you'd like to give to the number now showing at the bottom of the screen, go to our website, QUUF.org, and click on the giving link, or simply write out a check to QUUF. Just to remember to write For the Love of a Child in the memo line. We will gratefully receive your offering as we listen to the Tree Song by the Vaccinated Voices Choir.
I saw a tree by the riverside one day as I walked along, straight as an arrow and pointing to the sky, and it grows.
you Vaccinated voices. I have a new canary and I played the tree song for him and he couldn't stop singing along with you. Reminder that today is the last day to register for Quimper Camp, our intergenerational camp held over Memorial Day weekend in May. Check your weekly update for registration and more information. This morning, as part of our Earth Day Sunday, we are presenting our Eco Hero Award. Let's see who our Green Sanctuary Environmental Action Team nominated and voted for this year.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Patrick Johnson. I'm here with Peg Hunter. We're the co-chairs of the Green Sanctuary Environmental Action Committee of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship here in Port Townsend. 52 years ago, on April 22nd, 1970, the first Earth Day was marked, and the beginning of the modern environmental movement began. Today, Earth Day is recognized as the largest secular observance in the world. In 1985, Unitarian Universalists included caring for the earth in the establishment of the 7 principles. And here at Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, we celebrate Earth Day by presenting the Eco Hero Award to individuals and organizations in our community whose good work inspires others and protects the earth. Previous recipients of the award have included the Jamestown Squam Tribe, Port Townsend High School students for sustainability, the Wooden Boat Festival, and the North Olympic Salmon Coalition.
This year, we are delighted to recognize Ed Chad, who has been working tirelessly on environmental issues on the Olympic Peninsula for decades. Ed is a retired school teacher, outdoor educator, and citizen watershed science coordinator who manages the Stream Keepers program for Clallam County. He is co-founder and chair of Olympic Climate Action and helped sponsor the Washington Climate Assembly, a group assembled to decide on policy recommendations for the state of Washington, presenting 148 recommendations for legislative or community action. It is with deep appreciation and great respect for your ongoing efforts, Ed, to mitigate climate change that we honor you on behalf of the Green Sanctuary Environmental Action Committee. We present you through the U.S. Postal Service, because we can't do it directly here, with our 2022 Eco Hero Award, along with a donation to help Olympic Climate Action further their important work. And also your name will be added to the Eco Hero plaque, which is on the wall at QUUF.
Thank you, Patrick and Peg. I am really honored. And I accept this award really on behalf of the group, Olympic Climate Action. I view most of what I've been trying to do with the group as just holding the container that helps to keep it going. And most of the real work is done by everybody within the group doing what they do. I'm especially appreciating the fact that your group is in Jefferson County, where Olympic Climate Action is not as strong. And I will use this opportunity as a little pitch that we do have members from Jefferson, from the eastern part of the peninsula, but we could use some more strength on that end. And like any group process, our group is only as strong as the members within it. So with that, if there's time, I'm going to share a few conclusions that I've arrived at after having founded the group in 2013 and served as chair up until just about a week from now when I'm going to step down. So here are a few basic rules to guide the work. First, doing something is probably better than doing nothing. Second, working with others is probably stronger than working alone. Third, people of good heart can disagree and still honor each other's good hearts. Fourth, working with others offers an opportunity to work on yourself. And fifth, working on yourself will improve all your other work. And it's in that spirit of hoping that we're all working on ourselves that gives me a little bit of hope that humans can figure out how to steer us into a sustainable and healthy and just future. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Ed. We will now share our joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus we place this first stone for the healing of our earth and for a birth of understanding that all things are fragile and mortal, including our earth home. We light a candle of thanksgiving, welcoming the local whales who are migrating home. We light a candle for those in Port Townsend who keep our public lands so beautiful and work so hard to maintain our indigenous plants. We light a candle for all those who monitor our weather and help control climate change. They are our local heroes. We light a candle for our local critters who remind us that the earth is for more than our personal use. And now we place the final stone, holding in our hearts the joys I've just shared, but also thinking of such joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed, but of no less importance. I invite you into a moment of silence.
Our reading this morning is May Everything in Creation by Kristin Walters Painter. May everything in creation become a catalyst for your self-understanding. Let the sacred whispers carried on the wind invite you to release what is not necessary. Let the breezes help your wings to ascend, the sparrows to remember your flock. Let the divine fire that burns in your heart kindle you to deep compassion, sunlight to seek illumination. Let the rivers and seas support you in allowing spirit to flow through your life in new ways. Embracing the rise and fall within you, let the pine cones contain an epiphany. The forest asks you to embrace your truth once again, and each smooth stone a revelation. Let the moon sing of quiet miracles, like those which reveal and conceal the world every day, right before your eyes. May you make time to listen to the elements and the sacred direction for your one precious life. Our special music today is John Denver's Healing Time on Earth.
Let the mountains talk, let the river run. There is wisdom here, there is much to learn, there is much to know, much to understand in this healing time. All across the land, you have heard my songs, oh, so many years. You have laughed with me, washed away my tears. You have shared my joy, you have felt my pain. In this healing time, walk with me again through these darker days on this narrow line. Help me find my way, help me see the signs. I am not afraid, I am not alone. You have taught me well, you have brought me home. Let the mountains speak, let the rivers run, as the world awakes to the rising sun. In each brand new day, in our own rebirth, in this healing time on our mother. Let the mountains talk, let the rivers run. There is wisdom here, there's so much to learn. In each brand new day, in our own rebirth, in this healing time for our mother earth, in each brand new day, in our own rebirth, in this healing time here on Mother Earth.
Earth Day has a sense of play and intense joy. When I lived in New York City, Central Park was alive with entertainers giving thanks for this wondrous earth. Living on Orcas Island, Earth Day had the same spirit with a wondrous parade with dancing colors and prancing animals, all in praise of our Mother Earth. This year, I approach Earth Day with more sobriety. We seem to be in a global dark night of our spirits. Perhaps the Earth and our species cannot move beyond the destruction that we have bestowed on her with neglect, overuse, and greed. In our world today, 10 people own more than half the world. In the latest UN climate report, the Earth's climate is quickly moving into destruction. Our carbon dioxide level is the highest in human history. We see devastation in Ukraine and threats of nuclear war ring in our ears. And on top of all this, we are haunted with an insatiable virus. So do we dance on Earth Day? Perhaps the greater question is, how do we not? When living in New York City, I had a friend who was a student from Peru. She told a story about her hometown. Whenever construction was about to start or the earth was to be broken open, it was preceded with a party. Wine was poured into the earth, and there were days of feasting, dancing, and giving treats to Mother Earth. When the earth was happy, she tolerated the abuse and blessed the people. One day, a foreign company started to build a great complex, and they did not want to put time or money into superstitious practices. So with great machines, they cut into the earth without one how do you do or do-si-do. And in the night, a great earthquake ripped through the land, and the machinery was swallowed. Needless to say, this company always had days of celebration before any project from this time forward. And my friend swore that all this was true. And if we believe that the earth is alive and powerful, why should we question my friend's veracity? Perhaps the dark night of our current experience is not the end of our story, but the birth canal to a new way of living, a new way of being human, or a way of the earth saying that she will be honored with or without us. We are in the middle of a morality tale and are not certain of the outcome. But one thing is certain. Our spiritual traditions give honor to Mother Earth and Father Sky. They beg us in this postmodern age to take these traditions seriously. And no matter what the ending, to live with love, grace, gratitude, and generosity to and for this earth. I would like for us to consider two questions. The first is, what is it about our earth that makes your heart sing? The second is, what is your story about the earth that raised you? When a member of our human family is sick, it is often a time to draw together the stories about the loved ones, stories that help heal the one who is loved, and heal the community of the beloved. So where is the land that you call home? Is it home because it has a house on it, or home because of those who live there, or home because of the smell of the earth, the entangled roots, the bones of all the animals that were there before you, that make up the soil, that slips through your fingers, that grows your food, that haunts your memories, and makes you sigh from the beauty? And this place of home is on Mother Earth, whether it is in the beauty of Port Townsend, the density of our cities, or the devastation that is occurring in Ukraine. All of this is home, but sometimes it is too wide to consider. So each of us siphons off one part and says, this is the heart of home for me. This is the part of the earth with whom I hold a relationship. This is the part of the land where I truly know who I am. And this is the land that recognizes me no matter where I have wandered. Some of you may claim as home one rock, one beach, one weathered tree, one ocean perch, one lone star, such is the place of earth that owns a part of you. There is such a piece of land for me. My grandfather's family came from Ireland and settled on a small farm in southern Ohio, an earth that is fertile and green, on land that begins the dips and hills of the Appalachians. Some of the landscape became part of what is now an Ohio State Park named Lake Hope. As a child, I would often go there as one member of an extended family. We would gather, as some families do, and welcomed older relatives, listened to their stories, visited the graves, the one-room schoolhouse, the skeleton of the old farm, the foundry where the cannonballs were forged during the Civil War, and we retold migration stories about my grandfather's 12 brothers and sisters who went out from this wilderness to create their own lives on other pieces of earth. The Ohio land taught me about the earth spirit. Southern Ohio is filled with ancient earthen burial mounds, mounds created by early tenders of the earth. One of these mounds is called Serpent Mound, an effigy of a snake with a curled tail. The mound is on the site of an ancient meteor impact dating to around 300 million years ago. The effigy itself is believed to have been created by the Eine culture around 300 BC. The Ohio land felt sacred. Shifting to many years later, I made a pilgrimage to the great Australian billowing red sandstone rock called Uluru, or Ayers Rock. It is the world's largest isolated piece of rock grounded deep into the earth. The Australian Aborigines describe it as a sacred record of their ancient origins. An elder and guardian of this site states that I am Uluru. This is my great ceremony, this holy cave, this great camp with its holy tree. It is a breathing temple. It looms 2,820 feet above sea level and is believed to be the center of all dream time and all fertility. At the bottom of the rock, there is a life-giving stretch of rainwater right in the middle of the desert. One approaches this site by bus, and after I reached Uluru, a group of Aboriginal elders knocked on the bus door and asked permission to enter. Upon entrance, they spoke very simply, begging us not to walk on the rock, claiming that it was sacred. It was their greatest cathedral, mosque, or temple. They pleaded, please do not walk on it or harm will come to our people. There were young Indigenous women seeking initiation rites that very day. The elders earnestly taught that this rock, this living entity, must be treated with respect. It is our mother. Please. And as soon as they left the bus, all of the foreign visitors, except for two, put on their hiking boots, grabbed their sticks, and started to trek up the steep rock, past the dream line and beyond earshot of the beseechers. Would we physically walk over our own mother? And what does the word sacred mean in a time of late capitalism? How does personal need win over the commonweal? And how does a culture of immediate satisfaction and individual ownership misuse, exploit, and assume ownership over that which is not its own? Perhaps it starts with wee steps on a beautiful red glowing rock and moves to the crossing of national bound borders and the committing of unspeakable atrocities to subdue that which it can never own. Many mystics believe that the earth can speak. In the Hebrew language, the word midbar means wilderness. Ba midbar means the organ that speaks, the wilderness that speaks. And if the earth in its great wilderness is speaking, who is listening? In the Christian tradition, Jesus goes into the wilderness, and the textual meaning is to move into a relationship with the earth and its wilderness. John Muir, the great mystic of the wilderness, states that we must saunter when we go into the wild. Saunter comes from the words used for going on a pilgrimage. À la Sainte Terre, to the Holy Land, moving through the wilderness. And the wisdom teacher, Thomas Berry, states that restoring conversation with the rivers, the deer, the trees, and ocean can actually repair the world. The Hebrew would be tikkun olam, literally meaning to repair the world, to take responsibility for its healing. In order to repair anything, we must first be in relationship. I once taught a student who worked as an art intern at the Sistine Chapel. On a visit to Rome, this young man blessed me with a solitary hour, a full hour in the chapel before it was open to the public. And I was in that great space of beauty, lying on the floor, looking up at Michelangelo's masterpiece, his concept of the divine. And there, with the divine hand reaching through space or vast wilderness, a human hand reaches back, but the hands never touch. But each hand reaches toward relationship. The hands move slowly with desire towards one another. The relationship is in the reaching toward this vast open space where the earth floating in the universe exists. It's just open. That is the sacred. That is where the mud, the trees, the rivers, the oceans, the animals, the plants, the deserts, the plants all interact in that reaching open space of relationship. We are all nature, interacting and reaching for one another. Nothing can exist without this relationship. We humans need to make room in our heart for something much larger than ourselves. All humans are here to serve nature. If we do not listen, then we will not understand what nature is saying. This earth is our island home, and our living here is temporary. But while we are here, we are on one grand conversation. We need to listen to the orcas, to the frogs, to the earth breathing. And once we do that, how can we not dance? And if we are not listening and putting one foot out to the other to enter the dance, then we're only listening to ourselves. But in our dancing, we reach out to take back the patriarchal society that assumes that life is a right, that when we are thirsty, we can drink the ocean, that when we are hungry, we can eat the herd, that when we need shelter, we can take the village, that when we are needy, we can take the world. That taking is killing this planet. Life is not a right. Life is a gift to open slowly and with great delight. And sometimes we give the gift away. If we hold Earth's delights only for ourselves, this planet will die. It is the love from our ancestors, the builders of the great snake effigy, or those who today speak for Uluru, or for the orcas, the bees, or even the snails who are passing on love today. These are the great ones who are engaged in a cosmic reconciliation, or a dance, if you will. Perhaps this week you can put on dancing shoes and embrace a friend in conversation. What is it about our earth that makes your heart sing? What is your story about the earth that raised you? Our closing song today is by QUUF's Kalan, Wolfe, and The Shift, with their own answer to questions like these. Their song is called One with the Earth.
This land is my body. When I prune these trees, I prune of myself. There is a joy in the knowledge of changing. Every walk through the forest Make me one with these trees, make me one with the stones. From the tips of my roots to the marrow in my bones, I'm one with the earth. As it rolls through space, I will find my cause, will find my place. I am one with the earth. I am one with the earth. Whoa, I am one with the earth. I am one with the earth. Whoa, the great spirit lays within me, carries my soul, lifts my voice to sing. There is love in the honey, there is grace in the stream, there is laughter in the rain, there is rain in me. Make me one with these trees, make me one with the stones. From the tips of my roots to the marrow in my bones, I'm one with the earth. As it rolls through space, I will find my cause, will find my place. I am one with the earth. I am one with the earth. Whoa, I am one with the earth. I am one with the earth.
Thank you, Kalan, in the shift. Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. After the service, I'll hope you'll join us for our virtual coffee hour. What you can expect is to be placed in a Zoom room with one of our coffee hour hosts, who will facilitate personal check-ins as well as reflection questions on the sermon topic. I hope to see you there. But first, let us turn our attention to a very different earth music, that of Mozart, whose Eine, Kleine, Nachtmusik will serenade us through Earth's stratosphere.